the period following 1880 is going to see a growth in what's referred to as new immigrants. The old immigrants were those pre-1880s immigrants. So the reason, of course, that the immigration is occurring at this point is the demand for cheap, unskilled labor. You can see that here. The old immigrants were those Germans and the Irish and the English that we had talked about in previous units. These are pre-1880. So these are Civil War and earlier. What's happening in the 1880s and beyond is there's an influx in what's referred to as new immigrants, and these are from places in Southern and Western Europe, Italy, Greece, Russia, and Jewish populations. They tended to be poor. They tended to be non-white, at least by the standard of the day. And they tended to be Catholic. It should be a big C. They tended to be Catholic. They tended to be Jewish. They tended to be Eastern Orthodox. In other words, they're not Protestant. And when you take all of that in together, along with the notion that they didn't have a whole lot of experience living in a democracy based on their home countries, the population at the time assumed that it would be difficult for these groups to assimilate, to move into the country and act like the dominant white society. Now, we can discuss how problematic that is, but the fear was by that dominant white society that they wouldn't assimilate. So there's going to be this nativist backlash we'll talk about later. They're going to try to keep them out of the country. There was a commission created by the government that said that these folks were a threat to American culture, which is kind of odd now considering I had spaghetti last night for dinner. Now, they're going to tend to live in ethnic neighborhoods. So this means that each of these ethnicities that was coming over, Italian would live in an Italian neighborhood. Jewish people would live in a Jewish neighborhood, and they would be able to go to schools that their kids would go to schools in that were taught in their native language. They would read newspapers in their native language. They would have products that they were familiar with from their home country. The problem for the people that were worried about assimilation and for the immigrants themselves was that they were easily exploited by both management, right? Because they needed to work, they needed to come and get a job. They tended to be poor. So management's going to take advantage of that. And there's a lot of them. So they're going to drive the wages down. But also they're going to be taken advantage of by politicians through what are referred to as political machines, which are going to, yes, give them some of the things they need, but also take advantage of them.